Good morning. Welcome to SEC Power Rankings. I think this is week 6 now. The season is flying by. We are loving every minute of it. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by my colleagues at Southeastern 16, Max Barr and Blake Lovell. Lots going on here at Southeastern 16. Lots going on in SEC basketball. We always start our power rankings at the bottom. I guess we'll turn it over to you, Max Barr, to unveil the teams, starting with number 16, please.
Number 16, we do not have a change. This is the same 16, I believe, as the past 2 weeks. The Gamecocks down here, stuck at the bottom. I don't think it's their own doing, though. I just think no one else has made a case to drop below, so they stick here.
Yeah, I mean, they have more losses than anyone else, right, at 3. So, unfortunately, at this point, that's kind of how it works. In this landscape of the SEC, they beat East Carolina on Saturday by 7. Max said East Carolina's not bad, but that's not exactly a win that's going to catapult you up the rankings. But they've won 3 in a row now, and they play USC Upstate on Saturday. But any movement with South Carolina probably will not come until the following week when they host Clemson. If they win that game, then I think there's a possibility they move up. But then again, it's like they could beat Clemson and maybe move up a spot. That's just the way it works right now. So,
yeah. East Carolina is South Carolina's best win per KenPom. I think I'm not going to say this is going to sound like I'm contradicting myself. I don't think that South Carolina is clearly the worst team in the league, but I think the decision at this point based on who it's beaten was pretty clear. Anyway, on to 15, Max Barr.
Yeah, speaking of win streaks, now we've got a 4-game win streak for the Tigers. Coming off that 2-game performance, they beat Florida State at home and then took care of Florida Gulf Coast. It wasn't the prettiest, but they took care of them. 4 in a row now for the Tigers. Their only loss is on a neutral against Pitt, so not even that bad.
SMU on Saturday, if they win that one, I think more possible movement for the Tigers here. But again, LSU is 8-1. Their only loss is to Pitt. They've beaten Kansas State, UCF, Florida State. Not top-tier wins, but those aren't bad wins. And they're number 15 in our SEC Power Rankings.
On to 14. Oh,
well,
go ahead. Sorry, Max.
Just real quick, I was just going to say one reason why I have them down here, we feel bad, but it's terrible they lost Jalen Reed. That's a huge piece. I mean, he was breaking out this year.
Yeah.
You know, that's a huge piece to this team. So, situation to monitor there in the front court, see how that shakes out. All right, on to 14. We've got your Commodores, Chris, having a good week.
Yeah, look pretty good in a win at TCU. Again, keep an eye on Jason Edwards. I think he may end up leading the league in scoring. Tyler Tanner, very underrated freshman. They got some weaknesses, but they're fun to watch. And I think not an easy call between Vandy and LSU at 14 and 15. Both quality teams. I think probably both NIT level teams in my mind.
I don't know anymore. I'm not counting anybody out of the NCAA tournament in the SEC right now. I think let's all get them in. All 16. Let's make the push. We're not against pushing some propaganda around here at Southeastern 16. But, yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt coming off another win. 9-1. Great start in the Mark Byington era. And, yeah, I mean, offensively, they're fun to watch. So we'll see how they go from here. The Citadel, Austin Peay, New Orleans should be 12-1. Entering the first SEC game against LSU.
All right,
Chris, I know you mentioned.
Go ahead, Max.
I was just gonna say, do we have any update on McLaughlin? Is he still all banged up, or is he getting better?
He played plenty yesterday. Let me check the minutes on that one.
While
he
you're
didn't
checking,
give them as
Sam Smith,
much as he normally did.
Just quickly, Sam Smith, we have your voicemails. I tried to go through them this morning. I did 3 live streams yesterday. I have not had a chance to listen to all of them, but I did pick one that we will play at some point during this power rankings today. Don't you worry. I have one that will be ready, loaded up, ready to go. So,
he played 28 minutes yesterday. They're playing him and Jalen Carey together a little bit, which is a little bit of a departure. I think they're going to have to with their size issues inside.
Interesting. All right. Moving up. Number 13.
Don't get there yet. We're moving into the land of confusion, I would call it, because there's 2 teams we're both having a hard time knowing what to do with. Before we get there, reminder, BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the early sides to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC. Head to BetOnline today. Don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. I mean, those were my words. Are we in agreement with these next two teams that we're having a hard time knowing what to do with them for different reasons? Is that fair?
Yeah, hold on a second.
The rest of the league have a hard time.
Are we going to limit that to 2? Because there's no chance I'm limited to just 2. No, I would disagree with saying just these 2 teams. I'd go even further than just these 2. I'd go like the next, I don't know.
Like
8 I mean, maybe the rest of the league. Like,
it's ridiculous.
I'm not even kidding. So,
well, let's not waste any time getting there. The next up we have are the Longhorns, which may be surprising to see, but when you look at who's ahead of them and what the other teams have done, you land with Texas here with a 13 in front of their name. It looks weird, but how do you move them up?
Here's the deal, okay, with Texas. I'll take the lead on this. Whatever. They've lost 2 games to UConn and Ohio State. No shame whatsoever at all in that. But the fact is, like, we are at that point now where, like, we're looking at different schedules. Now, there's going to be a team we're going to talk about in a minute, and I know people are going to pick the same hole with them, but they just did something that was far and away a bit better than what Texas has done this year in terms of what a quality win looks like. And we all know who I'm talking about. But, Texas non-conference schedule, as we said, is not the strongest. Their 2 biggest games, they've lost both of them, and they've beaten Syracuse, solid but not great win. NC State, solid but not great win. St. Joseph, solid but not great win. And the rest are against 347 and lower teams in KenPom. They still have 2 games against 342 or lower in KenPom. Texas is a good team, but you got to rank these teams somewhere. And so here they are. There's not much difference, in my opinion, between Texas and the next 5, 6 teams maybe we list on this thing. So.
Yeah, they just don't have any of those marquee wins to kind of, you compare team to team and you can give them that win. They just don't have any of those yet.
Yeah, I was thinking because I'm starting to look a little bit more towards resume, not all the way resume. I still think how good is the team, and maybe you had a bad night, maybe you had a chance to play tough teams yet. Maybe the tougher part of your schedule is coming. There's a lot of reasons you can use to justify moving teams up and down, but here's where I'm going. Like resume Texas, I thought, okay, it's just not there like a lot of other teams in the league. And I just went to ESPN strength of resume. Texas ranks 14 of the 16 SEC teams. And by the way, the next one up is also struggling in that department.
Yep. Moving up, there's opportunities here for Texas, but we gotta make them count. All right. Number 12, Razorbacks. I could not separate these 2 teams very much. I think their resumes are very similar. You got Texas with that road win at NC State. You've got Arkansas with the road win at Miami. Kind of a wash. They've both dropped their 2 biggest games, but Arkansas has had much more of an injury bug than Texas, and now they're got Big Z out. But I don't really see the difference between Arkansas and Texas, to be honest. And I gave the nod to Arkansas because of the injuries, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would still make Arkansas a favorite over Texas on a neutral court right now, and that's kind of the path I used. It wouldn't be by much, but I still think I would probably put Arkansas as a slight, maybe 2-point favorite, something like that. But again, that's we're splitting hairs here when we talk about these teams in this range. Like, there's just not a lot to go on just yet for teams that don't have marquee wins. And if you are a team that doesn't have a marquee win, well, because of how many marquee wins the SEC has racked up already, this is where you're going to wind up. And so, do I think Arkansas is the 12th most talented team in the SEC? No. I think they're much higher than that. But they don't have the wins that everybody else does to this point, or a lot of the teams in front of them. So it's kind of where they are. The injury thing you can kind of bake in to your ranking and use it that way. So Chris decided that he's so upset with Arkansas being at 12, he's decided to leave. He said, you know what?
Well,
I can't stand the Hogs being at 12. So anyway, shout out to Brett here. We'll do some comments until Chris hops back. Brett, for first time on the live, power rankings hit different when it's live. Yeah. Well, the power, I think some of you guys, I've been looking at the chat. I think some of you guys have some strong predictions on what you think it's going to look like at the top. I'm not sure if you guys know exactly what it's going to look like at the top. We are not. We'll go get to it. I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah.
But you gotta hang on for that. But it's going to be interesting. I think at the top of our rankings once we get there. So, anything else you want to add, Max, before we move on? So, we just got buttons popping everywhere. Chris is.
What the heck is going on?
Is this like what's those games they play? Yeah, here's why you don't watch the power rankings live. Yeah, Ryan's probably got the right thing here. You just listen in 2x speed later. That way you can get through. But you'd rather not be listening to the ad reads in 2x speed. What are you doing, Ryan? You got to be listening to those on normal speed. But this way you can speed through all the technical issues. That's not a bad plan on your part. So, all right, let's just move on, Max. We'll see when Chris hops back up later.
Well, I was gonna say we're now seeing like lack of quality win is a serious, just because of how the league we're dealing with. That's a serious decider now. Of a team, the quality wins. So I didn't notice it, but we've mentioned it a bunch so far already. All right, moving up. 11, Georgia again.
Dogs.
I like this team with an 11 in front of it. It's not fair. It is not fair to the Dogs at all. They're a borderline top 25 team, I think. But that's also true. I think there might be 11 top 25 teams in this conference, and that's that. I think this is a very good team. Look at what they did to St. John's. That St. John's win is going to be huge come March. We have Georgia at 11. I think it's the right spot for them, but man, it feels weird to see that number in front of them, but that's just the league right now. That's just the league.
Yeah, look, comment Georgia at 11 is crazy. Well, listen, I don't disagree. I think it's crazy too. But I think you make the argument to put them several spots higher. This is where they wound up. It's a composite ranking. I don't even be completely honest with you. I said this to Max before we started recording. I don't even remember my exact rankings. I'll pull them up in a second. But I switched these so many times when I was going through and trying to figure out what to do with all these teams. I think you can justify having Georgia a couple more spots higher. But
yeah, definitely.
They're an NCAA tournament team if they're number 11 in our rankings right now. And so I said, I talked to Greg Peterson on his podcast. You can go listen to it. Go to my Twitter. You can find the 20-minute conversation I did with Greg. He said, what's the one team that's not being talked about enough in the SEC? I said, easy, Georgia. I said, Georgia's the team that's not getting enough love right now. So I'm all in on the Dogs. Win over St. John's. Win over the Irish. Georgia's about to get 2 wins over the Irish in the span of a month. They beat them on a basketball court. They're going to beat them on a football field. If Notre Dame can get past Indiana, the Dogs rolling.
Chris, I think we may have a new relationship forming here between Blake and Georgia basketball here.
Go Dogs!
Might be.
I'm gonna start saying every single team's, phrase. That way, no one can say that I'm a homer, because then if I just say everyone's, then that way I don't leave anything out. So, who have I missed so far?
No, you're not going through all of them.
Anchor down. What else?
We had a horns up.
Horns up.
Hog call. I want to hear you call the
Pigs.
Hogs.
I'll call the Hogs at some point. But all right, let's move on here.
All right, are we ready? One reason that Georgia is at 11 because another team has not lost yet, and that team is the Sooners.
They have not lost. They moved down. How many spots? They moved down a couple spots. They haven't lost.
They did.
I was trying to remember where Oklahoma was at last week, but I know they moved down.
I think there were 6.
Was it 6?
Yeah.
So
what have we done? What are we doing?
Other teams beat number 1 teams on their home court and stuff. There's can't keep up with it. All wins in this league.
Oklahoma fans, Blake, you should be pissed.
You
right.
guys said when I talked about tier of confusion, I think Arkansas and Texas is its own tier of confusion because they're really talented teams. Arkansas hadn't had all its parts yet. Texas hasn't played anybody. That's why we don't know what to do with them. I think Georgia was a unanimous 11 between the three of us.
Oh, okay.
But I think 6 to 10, God help you. That's where I had the hardest problem. I think 1 to 5, we all know who they are. Our orders differed a little bit. I don't think Oklahoma really moved down by result of getting any worse. I just think we dug in a little bit more. Last week we weighted the win of the Bahamas pretty highly, and then you have some other teams in this tier, particularly one coming up that really did some stuff this week. I don't think Oklahoma didn't change at all in our minds. It's just some other stuff happened, and I mean, the difference between this tier from 6 to 10 is like that much everywhere you look.
I was just going to say, Chris, I'm glad that's a perfect segue into what I was going to say. Here's a question. On a neutral court, okay, let's say it's Oklahoma against Kentucky. All right, one team that's definitely going to be in the top at the top of our rankings somewhere. What's that spread? On a neutral court, Oklahoma against Kentucky. I mean, is it Kentucky what, minus 5.5, 6.5? I mean, 2 possessions maybe? Maybe you stretch it out to 3, Kentucky minus 8. I mean, geez, this is the number 10 team going against, it would be on a neutral floor against one of our top 4 teams. And then what's the spread going to be? What, 2 possessions? I mean, that's insane. Yeah. Last year, number 10 against the top 4 team in the SEC on a neutral floor, it would not be a 2 possession spread. So Oklahoma, you're at 10, but I like you a lot.
I mean, am I speaking out of turn, or were you guys as unclear on 6 to 10 as I was? Did you have some clarity anywhere? Okay.
You called land of confusion at 13. I'm like, we're still in the land of confusion. You kidding me? Yeah. Like, we hadn't got out of it yet. So, and that's why I think this next team, in all honesty, go ahead and reveal it, Max. I think a lot of people probably know who the next team is. But the fact is, Missouri just beat the number 1 team in the country. And people will say Kansas is overrated and all this other stuff. Who cares? They beat the number 1 team in the country. Get out of here with that nonsense. They've been the number 1 team all season long until this week where they lost 2 games. But the thing is, outside of that, for Missouri, what have we said, right? Their resume, pretty lackluster. They don't have a lot to go on, and that's why we didn't know what to expect going into the Kansas game, because we saw them lose to Memphis in game 1 of the season. They had to rally to beat Cal, in furious fashion. Everything else, they beat teams the way they should beat teams, right? And sometimes a little bit more in the Mississippi Valley State case. But, yeah, so it's like, at this point, you have to move Missouri up. You don't have a choice. They just beat the number 1 team in the country. But still, you're going to look at this and say, well, I don't know. If you put Missouri on a neutral court against Oklahoma, what's that spread? Right? Who knows, man? It's just, pick them. Come on. These rankings are not a science. Trust me, as one of you two said, there's no winning with us today in these rankings. This is a good problem because it's the best conference in America. It's a good problem because we have no science on this. We're ranking teams based on, recency bias a lot now, because the fact is that's pretty much what we have to go on. So Missouri beat the number 1 team in the country. Biggest win in the Dennis Gates era. What a win for the Tigers. Storming the court there. Mizzou having a time in Columbia. And, yeah, what a win for the Tigers.
I'll tell you what, though. I don't think this is an overreaction having Missouri at 9, and honestly, could have even had them higher. This was a Missouri team that was up 13 against Memphis with 16 minutes left.
Yeah.
They don't blow that lead. They're an undefeated team with a win over the number 1 team in the country. We would look like idiots for putting them at 9. So, they're a second half 13-point blown lead away from being undefeated and, I don't know, probably in the top 5 of the power rankings. This is a scary good number 9 and number 10 team that we just rattled off.
Okay, true or false? Of this tier of teams 6 to 10, Missouri has got the best win of all those teams with the win over Kansas.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, true or false?
Who else has beaten the number 1 team in the country, right?
Yeah.
It's that one.
Right.
Yeah.
True or false? Take that one away. No other team in this tier 6 to 10 has played a weaker schedule than Missouri.
That is also true.
So that I think that accounts for some of the what do we do with this?
Yeah.
So, I mean, again,
All right.
This is not a perfect science. So,
moving up to. Oh man!
oh,
How did that happen?
What is wrong with you guys?
Bulldogs at number 8.
Just have the floor, Blake. You scolded us pre-podcast. You might have been right. In fact, I was deliberating changing a ranking,
folks,
and you said, "Nope, we got to go."
Let me just ask this question, okay? I was the high man on Mississippi State this week, and I left them exactly where we had them last week. Did we have them at 6 or where we had them last week? I don't know. I ranked them 6 this week. I'll just tell you straight up.
I think they were 7 last week.
Whatever. Everybody's looking at the Prairie View A&M game on Sunday. All right, they won by 7. It sent them spiraling. 14 spots in KenPom from number 12 to number 26. Terrible. But did we forget that they sat there and beat Pitt by just unmercifully? Like, it won by 33. The game was basically a 90-point game, in my opinion. But, I mean, Mississippi State just took it to Pitt on Wednesday, like several days earlier. And I don't think we just forget that all because, they had a game that, in all honesty, a lot of teams are going to have throughout the season. Not everyone has, but you're going to have a game that's a little bit close for comfort sometimes, where it's a early afternoon start on a weekend, and come on, we just beat Pitt by 40. We're not worried about Prairie View A&M, right? That was kind of what happened to Mississippi State. A little bit too close, agreed, but I'm not knocking them for that, not based on what they did earlier in the week. So Mississippi State at 8, I think is too low. That's my argument.
Chris, I'll let you try to rebuttal.
Okay, here's where it separates in my mind. The win over Pitt was phenomenal. I called it maybe the best win the league got in the ACC SEC challenge because of the margin of victory and who Mississippi State beat. But if you bookend it with the other 2 games, I lost to an okay Butler team, and then yesterday, and I get it's Mississippi Valley State. They knew that they could win in their whoever. Same thing. They could show up and win in their sleep, right? So that's one elite game surrounded by 2 very mediocre performances. I think the 2 teams in front of Mississippi State are quietly playing very well night in and night out for about the last 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. That to me was where I separated the vote.
Yeah, I think it's less of a knock on Mississippi State and more of there's a clear top 5 in the league, and then the other 2 teams that we have in front of them are just playing extremely well also. And when you look at the past 3 games, and one of them is a 10-point loss on a neutral to Butler, and the other you escape against the Prairie View Panthers. I know the Pitt game looks great, but I would like a little consistency. Can we put together that perimeter offense every game? Nitpicking here.
Can I ask you this? Who else beat a pair of Panthers this week?
Who what?
Who else beat a pair of Panthers this week? They beat the Pitt Panthers on Wednesday. They beat the Prairie View A&M Panthers on Sunday, folks. No one else took it to the Panthers like the Dogs. Hail State in Starkville.
Max, you think you got it covered until you don't, right?
Yep.
By the way, small correction, Prairie View A&M and Mississippi Valley State are not the same thing. I looked it up just to please Blake Lovell. Prairie View A&M is a 6-point favorite at Mississippi Valley State in their impending matchup this year. So they are not indeed the same.
All right. Can we please get to the top 7 here? Because everybody's waiting for the top tier, which is going to rile some people up. All right. Number 7, Texas A&M. Go ahead, you 2. Go ahead.
What, you don't have any thoughts on A&M, Blake?
No. I'm going silent until Mississippi State gets their rightful ranking back.
Max, we're being baited. I'm just not sure what it is yet. Just be aware.
Hey, we have got to start giving this A&M team some credit. We have got to start giving them some credit. Maybe they don't pass the eye test, but they just beat Creighton. They just beat Rutgers. They just beat Wake Forest. They just beat Texas Tech on a neutral. I mean, what else do you want this team to do? They drop a neutral against Oregon. Same thing that Alabama did. And they tripped up in the first game. Knock them for the first game, I'll allow it. But, I mean, they beat Ohio State, Creighton, Rutgers, Wake Forest, Texas Tech. They got a resume much better than Mississippi State right now, if you want to put it that way. Much better resume. Just saying.
Chris?
I think I've said this is one of the 2 or 3 teams in the league. I don't think it's going to move much from where it is. We know what A&M is. It's a team with really old players. It's a team that has played together a lot under the same coach. We know it is not going to lead the league in three-point shooting. That's going to limit its ceiling. We know it's going to play hard. We know Wade Taylor's going to find a way. I don't know that I'll move State more than 1 or 2 spots from where it is all year.
So what you're saying is you're feeling the buzz in College Station right now with the Texas A&M Aggies, 8-2 on the season, as Max noted. All these big wins they've gotten: Ohio State, Creighton, Texas Tech. What a trio of wins that is. They did lose to Oregon and UCF. We've noted that. But still, in my humble opinion, no one this week beat a pair of Panthers like the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Texas A&M didn't do it. So, no, in all seriousness, A&M's really good. They're way more consistent, I think, right now. People can say they're not consistent, but actually they've been way more consistent this year at this time of year than they were, I mean, really probably the last couple of years, right? I'd have to look back at it, but you just remember we've talked about kind of them losing some of these games. Yeah, they lost how many non-conference games last year? I think 4 before SEC play. The year before that, they lost 5. So, like, it's the same theme with them, right? We kept saying, like, in terms of, I feel like every year towards the end of the year, it's Texas A&M. Are they going to get in the NCAA tournament, or what are they going to, what's their seeding going to be or whatever? And it was always the same. Well, man, they had some bad losses here, bad losses there, bad loss avoidance. So far, I know the UCF one, you're going to say, but I think you can throw that out a little bit because it's the first game of the season. Beyond that, lost Oregon, taking care of your business elsewhere. I joke about the Mississippi State thing, but yeah, sure, certainly you can put Texas A&M here and be just fine.
I was just going to say, in all seriousness, because we do like to joke around with and have fun with these power rankings. But in all seriousness, if you had A&M and Mississippi State play 100 times, I bet it's 50 wins each side.
Absolutely. With those two. Yeah.
Like, I bet it's straight even. So 7, 8, whatever you want to call it, you're probably top 25 in our eyes. There you go. Moving up. Highest ranking of the year for Chris Beard, Mark Adams, and the Rebels, who have quietly, very, very quietly, looked like one of the best teams in the nation. Only a 2-point loss against Purdue on a neutral, and then just taking care of business elsewhere. The defense looks good. The addition of Padula has the offense humming. Guys, this is a really, really good Ole Miss team.
I agree. I think if you just compare the resumes, I honestly feel like, maybe we should have had Texas A&M higher. But again, it's like there's not much either, I think, that separates these teams. Like we said, this whole group here. And so just taking care of your business at this point, like that's all you can do. You take care of your business on the schedule. They're a buzzer beater loss to Purdue away from being undefeated. And then here's what's interesting. Even if Ole Miss had won that game against Purdue, would they be any higher?
Nope.
They wouldn't be.
Man,
they'd be 9-0 with a win over BYU, Purdue, road domination at Louisville, undefeated, and quite honestly, with a great chance to probably be, going to 12-0 before that last game against Memphis before SEC play. But I don't know that they would be a single spot higher.
That's crazy.
They'd still be right here. So
that's crazy.
That's where we are with the top teams. So, yep.
You got to be kidding me, man.
I said before the season, they were the most experienced team in the league in terms of minutes played a year ago. That usually matters. But there was a little bit of confusion because last year, Chris Beard's teams, they always defend, right? And they were 143 in KenPom in defense. So I'm like, I don't really get this because they had 2 rim protectors. It never really translated. Like, Ole Miss didn't really make sense to me a year ago. I think hiring Mark Adams in the offseason, it's starting to show some fruits. They are what in defense today? They are 69.
Like cut it in half. Yeah.
Yeah, they're 13 on offense, by the way, for reasons I can understand, although they're not I don't think they're a great three-point shooting team, but they've got a lot of guards that can make some plays. The Adams, that might be the piece that they're missing, because you like Chris Beard coaching defense, you can take that. Well, we got an emergency over in Blake's house.
Oh, is that me? Sorry.
Was that you?
What's going on in Charlotte right now?
They felt their defense was an emergency. They hired Mark Adams. It looks like he's repairing that quickly. To me, that is why I have moved Ole Miss up, because you can see some stuff starting to come together for them.
Yeah, it's the combo of the Mark Adams defense with acquiring guys like Dre Davis, Malik Dia, Mikael Brown-Jones, that can do that switchable no-middle defense. Cisse and Sharp last year, they couldn't switch on everyone. Dropped something.
That's
a mess over here. But yeah.
Sam. Sam's comment.
What is going on? I'm lost.
The sirens in the. You know what, folks? Hold on a second. I'm calling an audible.
There's a
here.
little bit of show history that's
hold on
lacking.
a second.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm calling an audible.
Comments.
So Sam, where's the comment? Hold on. You guys are going fast and the furious here on the comments. Hold on a second. All right. So Sam said they're coming to get Max. So folks, speaking of that, I have a voicemail that I've received this weekend. I can't name the source, but someone sent me this piece of information, and I thought now would be the time to probably play it after that siren in the background. So I'm going to let you hear it. You might have to turn up your audio a little bit, but I'm just letting you know I received an anonymous voicemail from someone this weekend. Let's see what it had to say.
Hey, y'all. I'm in the Seattle Metro Jail. I stormed the court last night and got into a verbal altercation with Mark Pope. Me and Max Barr are currently in cell 7. I tried calling
That's very specific.
Lee, but he didn't answer. But I did call my good friends at Sanders Logistics, and they answered. They're coming to bail me and Max out of jail. So whenever you need a friend or somebody to count on, who do you call? Sanders Logistics.
You got to be kidding me.
Wow. How about that, folks?
Come up with that?
Breaking news. Sam Smith and Max Barr in the Seattle Metro Jail Cell 7 this weekend after the Kentucky-Gonzaga game. So I didn't know that. Couldn't reach Max on Saturday, so perhaps now we know why. So, interesting. All right. Just want to drop that little bit of information in there. So, should we move to the top 5, folks?
Oh, I thought you were going on to do Sanders. We can move into top 5.
Well, now that you mention it, I'm going to wait a second. Let's go to number 5, and then we'll get to Sanders shortly.
All right. Well, we're moving into top 5 here. Here we go. Regroup. The Gators.
Ooh. Malik's not going to be happy about this.
Uh-oh. The Gators at 5 in a tight top 5. This is a 5 that's all in the top 10 of KenPom. Half the top 5 belongs to the SEC. But the Gators, I think this is no doing of the Gators. I think this is purely other teams have played a lot better competition. And if you put the other 4 teams on a neutral floor against Florida, I think the other 4 are favored. I voted Florida at 5. So I have them at 5. Still think they're top 10 in the nation, though. Anybody?
I mean, they dropped from last week, and the reason Florida dropped, is not because they just won another game and they're sitting here at 9-0 now and pretty much have dominated everyone in front of them. But the reason they dropped is because the team ahead of them, scored a big win and has multiple huge wins to this point. Yes, they have 2 losses, but I mean, let's just go ahead and pull them up. We all know who it is. There's not much mystery here that Alabama's number 4.
Tied at 4.
But these are not perfect, folks. We can make the argument for any of these teams. I feel like we're trying to justify ourselves just to avoid any backlash. But the fact is, when you're the best conference in America, you have all these teams that have been fantastic to this point. Yes, some teams have losses, but if you played the SEC tournament right now and you put all these teams in there, I mean, do we really think that the tournament would go 1 advances, 2 advances, 3 advances, 4 advances, 5 advances? No. Like, you're going to have teams get beat. You know, you could play it 50 times and you'd have a different result in the quarterfinals, the semifinals. It's just, that's where we are. So Alabama and Florida are both top 10 teams, in my opinion. So if the SEC has 5 top 10 teams, something's okay. It's whether you're 9, whether you're 10, whether you're 8, doesn't matter. So we can argue this all day, but Alabama got a great win at North Carolina. We know North Carolina's not, this isn't the Dean Smith teams. We get it, but they dominated at North Carolina, and they have the win over Houston, have the win over Illinois. Arkansas State win looking pretty good right now, too, after Arkansas State just beat Memphis. So getting a little bit healthier. Chris Youngblood about to come back. I know Wrightsell's out, but yeah, I mean that's the reason they got moved up. So
yeah, I was about to move them up another spot.
Well, I think you've been nuts to do that.
Just watch. Well, no, I mean I watched him play North Carolina last week, and they started to look more like I thought Alabama would look. No, look, maybe North Carolina isn't that good. I think that's a possibility, but it was there. And I liked the way they played, how easy they got out on transition, how easy they got buckets. And I had a little bit of an issue with one of the teams coming up that I was going to flip them, and then Saturday night happened. So I left Alabama at 4. But I watching them play, and especially with Mark Sears starting to play better, to me that was encouraging.
Yeah, it was really just the quality wins for me. Moving up.
Nope, hold on.
Oh.
Hold on, Max. Before you do that, we're about to get to the top 3, and I think some people have some strong opinions on what they think is going to happen in the top 3. I'm not completely sure that you folks know what the top 3 is going to look like, but we'll find out here in just a second. Before we do that, there are 1,000+ of you in here watching this SEC basketball live stream right now. Do us a favor, hit the like button. If you like your favorite team, hit the like button. It's as simple as that. Not if you like us, if you like your favorite team. Hit the like button. That helps us out. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We do this every week. We cover SEC basketball on a daily basis, live streams all across the board. We got SEC football stuff coming up. There's a playoff thing and some bowl games going on, but they're not as big as these SEC basketball power rankings. And before we get into that, though, there's something I'd like to ask you, Max Barr, specifically. Now that we have confirmed, this is perfect. The sirens are coming for Max Barr, folks. And now that we've confirmed that Max was in cell block 7 in the Seattle Metro Jail on Saturday with Sam Smith, and we've confirmed that Max needed to get out of there. He needed to move on back to his home area. Max, do you know someone who could have helped you move all the way across the country to get back to where you needed to go?
I wish I had someone to call. I really wish I had someone to call.
Well, it's a good thing they give you a free call from jail, because you could have called Sanders Logistics, because they are your friends and mine, because they are there for you for all of your logistical needs. Sanders Logistics, formerly known... Wait a second. Did I not put that on the... Hold on a second, folks. What am I doing here? Sanders Logistics. Right there on the screen. Your friends and mine, as mentioned. Ted R. Sanders Moving is what they were called. But they are the leader among moving companies in Nashville, Tennessee, and the surrounding area. Their team of professional movers focused on efficient, hassle-free moving at an affordable price, whether you're moving across town or across the country, all the way from Seattle Metro Jail. Sanders Logistics has you covered. You can visit them at tedrsandersmoving.com. That's the official address. I've gotten that wrong multiple times. tedrsandersmoving.com. You can find them there. Tell them you know Max Barr, and they will give you a great deal. Hassle-free, efficient moving. There's nothing better in life than hassle-free, efficient moving. As I've said, it's almost Christmas time. Tell your significant other, you know what? I've decided today I'd like to move. And if they say no, then you say, well, too bad, because Sanders Logistics is out there, and I've got to use them. We're out of here. We're moving somewhere else, maybe to Starkville, maybe to Seattle, maybe to something else that starts with an S. You're going somewhere that starts with an S this Christmas, and you're doing it with Sanders Logistics. All right.
Very, very nice.
There we go. Top 3.
Top 3. Number 3.
Oh,
The Cats. The Fighting Mark Popes. Chris, I believe you maybe gave a hint you had something to say about Kentucky?
Well, I didn't like. I thought some issues were exposed in the Clemson game, and I had some questions about how they'd handle that without having potentially 1 point guard. Now they potentially don't have two. Somehow beat Gonzaga in Seattle. Gonzaga had won. I think I heard this on maybe Parrish and Norlander's podcast. I think Gonzaga had won like 150 straight games when leading double digits at half.
You could have tuned into the Southeastern 16 because
maybe
it
was you guys.
175 straight.
Okay, I listened to a few podcasts on hoops over the weekend.
I don't know why. You should just be listening to us, please.
That's true.
Please, Chris. Come on.
I'll let you guys talk.
What are you doing? Max, thoughts on the Cats?
Well, I thought Chris was going to have more there. Listen. I know the Cats fans are a little bit disappointed.
Hey, Sam says it's criminal that UT is ranked above Kentucky, just like Max Barr in the Seattle Metro Jail with Sam Smith.
Fits the brand there, Sam.
Disagree.
I do not think it's criminal because Tennessee has not lost. So that's a factor. But no, I mean, listen, Kentucky is what, top 5 in the country in your eyes? Top 6, 7? I mean, and they're 3rd in the conference. I mean, come on. As I know Kentucky fans might be annoyed, but sitting from a neutral perspective here and I'm just looking at Kentucky with a 3 in front of their name, and they could be 3 in the nation. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Joy to the
Underestimating
world.
the Cats.
A member of the
I don't think this is an underestimation. I think 3rd in the conference is you're ranked 3rd in the best conference in America. That is fantastic.
Well, Holly says, not even disappointed, we're just wrong. And that's okay. That's fine.
Can we talk about the point guard situation going forward for a minute?
Uh-oh. Chris getting fired up. Here we go. Let him have the floor.
No, I'm asking. But I guess it's Otego away.
It is a factor. Well, you had Robinson take the reins there in the second half. I mean, Butler will come back, eventually. He's not out for the season, right. So they'll have him. But right now, like next game, probably Jackson Robinson, I would guess. I mean, maybe a mixed bag of maybe some of the freshmen too getting in there. I'm not sure. But Butler will be back.
Yeah, I don't think Butler's out for the year or anything, so I don't see that as a significant thing just because he didn't play in this one game. And they still won without him. Not to say that they still found a way to win. Now they're not going to have Krisa, but we get it. So, yeah. So I think that's kind of where we're at. I just look. I mean, this is where we are right now. People aren't going to agree with it. It's fine. I just this is not as big of a deal as I know people are going to make it. But I just want to continue to point this out as we've done throughout the entire rankings here. This is an unprecedented start for the SEC. It's never looked like this a month into the season, December the 9th. I mean, here's where we are. So it is what it is. So
the Big Blue Nation's our Psycho Kerr can be out for 4 to 6 weeks. So he'll be back too eventually. But a little bit of an injury bug right now. All right.
Oh boy.
Boy.
Let's just again set this up.
We're gonna make everybody mad with the top 3.
Yeah.
I think.
It's
no,
fine.
not everybody. There'll be one team that's happy, and
you know what?
Else is gonna be angry.
Listen, let me just say this real quickly too. There's over 1,000 people at 9 a.m. on a Monday morning watching SEC basketball power rankings. Basketball, not football. This has never been done in history, probably. So, thank you. Thank you for doing this. So, thank you for coming in and watching. You don't have to agree with us, but you care about SEC basketball because your team is fantastic. Everybody can say that. So, especially these top 10s. These top teams are terrific. So, there you go.
Okay. Here we go. Moving on to the top 2. Maybe top 2 in the nation. What do you say?
We are not the AP poll. That's all I'm going to say before we reveal these numbers. We are not the AP poll. We do not vote like the Associated Press. And so there's just your
Number 2,
caveat.
we have the Vols. We have the Vols at number 2. And the influx of Vols fans, I understand. It is okay. Actually, you know what? It's not okay. I would be disappointed. If Vols fans weren't mad. You should be mad. Come and get us, because this is ridiculous that you are undefeated, just crushing everybody. I mean, it hasn't even been fun to watch. It's just over. It is over so far. The Vols are on the court, and we have them at number 2. Guys, what are we doing?
You know what we should have done? Hold on. We've accomplished something, actually, now that I look at it in the chat. We have accomplished Sam Smith unfollowing us, so that we've gotten somewhere in life. But so, hold on. I'm pulling this up from Elijah because a second ago he said, hold on. What did he say? Here it was. He said, great. You know what? I respect it coming from a Vol fan. And then, 1 minute later, he brings back, you know what? I take that back. Screw you guys. So, that's tremendous. Well played by Elijah there. You know what? Listen, if we were just complete cowards, we could have just done this, okay? The mustache is gone. Elliot said he's done with it. If we were complete cowards, you know what we should have done? We should have just said 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. But you know what? We're not complete cowards here. So we're not going to do it that way. So I still think if we use the formula that probably we all vote differently, our rankings never look the same. That's why it's a composite. I'm not even looking at the comments. I assume they're great right now, but
you can hear Sam, member for 7 months. Thank you very much, Sam. But fire Barnes because Stackhouse would have him at 1.
Yeah. You know what we should have done when you were watching the playoff rankings? I caught this on replay, or maybe you're the one that said it. When Reese Davis led when they're announcing the number 11 team, and is it going to be SMU? Is it going to be Alabama? And Reese Davis said there are no wrong answers here. I'm like, that means you're about to just piss everybody off. That's what we should have done. We should have just gone, there's no wrong answers here.
You know what?
I'd still be mad. But
here's the best comment right here. UK fan here. I personally don't care about these rankings. You shouldn't. We say that all the time. Thank you. You should not. You should just tune in for the fun of it. These are not, official rankings, folks. As long as these rankings or narratives, affect the tournament seedings, they don't. The NCAA tournament committee doesn't call us to use our rankings for determining the seedings of teams. Only care about improving and winning. Boom. There you go. That's all you should care about. And guess what? Everybody in the SEC right now is improving and winning. So it's tremendous stuff. So there you go.
And one team that I don't think can keep improving, but every time they play, they just keep looking even better. The Fighting Tigers of Auburn. Listen, how cool is it? How absolutely amazing is it that we are separating power rankings by whose best win is 10 spots higher than the other team's best win because they're both so dominant. That is just ridiculous. And I never want it to change. I would do a power rankings like this every week over a power rankings where it's cut and dry and everyone knows where they are already. Give me a conference like this every year. Come on.
Okay, I did not look at anything before I submitted my vote. I did vote Auburn 1, Tennessee 2, but just checking unbiased things here. If Auburn and Tennessee played on a neutral court right now, Auburn would be favored by a point, according to KenPom. Strength of resume at ESPN's BPI, Auburn 1 nationally, Tennessee 3, followed by, just in case you wondered, Alabama 4, Kentucky 5. Jeez. That's strength of resume overall. Strength of schedule, Auburn 10 by BPI. I don't know how there'd been 9 teams that have played tougher schedules than Auburn, but that's what it says, Tennessee 88. So if you're looking for where we separate, there's your answer.
And just so Sam, I know Sam also weighed in and said it's trash rankings, and that's fine, Sam. You have the right to your opinion, but
How many teams are winning in Cameron Indoor?
Well, this is where things are hard when you rank teams like this, okay?
Yeah.
How do you rank Auburn number 1 when they lost to Duke and we beat Duke? Of course, meaning Kentucky beat Duke. It's not a one-game ranking. And that's where it's like, we can play like we have fun with the comparative property on Mississippi Valley State and all this other stuff, but it's bigger than that, and I completely get it. But again, like, Auburn play at Duke, Kentucky play Duke on a neutral court. So, like, we have to separate that too. Like, it's not the same scenario. And so it's, again, I think that the majority of you understand, like, the challenge that comes with doing these SEC basketball power rankings. And you know that we're the only people out there that show up and do this every single day, even sometimes twice on Sundays. Like, isn't that the joke? Twice on Sunday. We literally did it twice on Sunday yesterday. We did a live stream at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning to talk about Kentucky's big win over Gonzaga. 22,000 plus of you have watched it so far. 22,000 of you. And then we did a stream at 3 in the afternoon talking about Missouri upsetting Kansas. So we love the game. Ball is life, Max, as we say. We're not going to get everything right, probably in your mind, but we love it. And everyone should love the fact that the SEC is as good as it is this year, because it's only going to benefit everyone's seeding once we get to March. Because now we're at that point where, as long as SEC teams don't lose some of these games over the next several weeks, you're not going to have many bad losses at all in SEC play, because the metrics are already, the hard part's already done in terms of doing the work up front, to where once you get into SEC play, as we say, Max, like, you're just not going to have a lot of bad losses, because each year, if we look at some of those bad loss potential games, it's usually because you've seen teams lose games in the non-conference to where their metrics take a just huge dive before you get to league play. And then, from there, it's okay. This is the best comment too. Regular here. Appreciate the integrity. You guys could easily pander to Big Blue Nation for more views.
That's
Listen,
true.
we try not to pander. Sometimes we have fun pandering. We do it in a half-joking way. But we appreciate you guys. Tremendous stuff this morning. A record for the live power rankings. SEC basketball. Probably a record for basketball or football power rankings, which is pretty remarkable if you think about it. So, there you go.
Okay,
All right.
if we got it wrong with Auburn, what would the case be?
They lost a game on the road at Duke. If that's the case,
if
that's the argument. Come on.
We're splitting hairs.
Like, come on.
The case that I would make against it is Auburn's played KenPom's what? They've played their 5th, 6th, and 3rd team. They've played 3 top 6 teams already. Tennessee has only played 2 teams in the top 100. It was 23 and 57. So, like, I know they lost a game, but I mean, geez. They've played 3 of the top 6 teams in the country already.
All right, so here's a question. Should Kentucky be ranked above Tennessee then? And I've seen that question asked in the comments. And I think it's something to really think about. If that's the argument, hold on, we all use different arguments. If that's the argument, then I'm not just pandering, as mentioned a second ago.
I know.
But I think that may be more of the debate than the Auburn Tennessee one. But I'm just on the surface, just asking the question. So
that is a great point. That's a great point. I mean, geez. I don't know, man.
This is where we are.
Tough. It's tough.
Chris, you have any metrics, any data that?
Look, I know I'm the resident stat guy. I've honestly based the way I rank these 3 teams more on watching them. Good luck to you getting off a shot against Tennessee. I think Auburn finding guys that can score from the wing, and a guy in Broome that is the national player of the year inside, that to me is the separator. Kentucky has got some issues that Clemson exposed. You've got point guard issues. Now, that's taken nothing away from what Kentucky has done. As I say all the time, this is like separating contestants in the Miss Universe pageant. They're all wonderful. You have to find some reason to rank this one ahead of that one, and that's where we were. People can feel free to disagree. In a week, is this going to be the same thing? No, we will not have these same power rankings 2 weeks in a row because, to borrow a Ward Manual favorite, the data points are going to change.
Especially on Saturday.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's you're comparing everybody's body of whatever is different. Everybody's got something that's a little louder than somebody else. Everybody's got something that's a little lacking here. There, you throw it on a scale. You weight it the best you can. And look, I mean, I don't think we need to spend a lot of time defending our stuff. I will tell you this. If you're new to the channel, we spend an extraordinary amount of time paying attention to this. Does that mean we're right all the time? Of course not. If we were, we probably wouldn't be doing this show. We'd all be multimillionaires because we have taken it to Vegas and won a bunch of money. That's just how it goes.
I don't
to
think
tie
we
in the
defend
rankings.
ourselves. I think we're just
No.
just a
I'm
ranking.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the way we rank the teams. I mean, we've got some points where we're not real clear. I think we made that clear. But I think based on what's in front of us right now, I don't. Do I have some issues with some teams that I'm unsure what we could have done with them? Sure I do. But I think I don't think we're far off, whatever the right answer is.
No, Nathan.
No, it does not.
You mean Southeastern 16 doesn't pay millions? No. Listen, that's why we need SEC basketball to continue to be this way, because we need 1,000 plus of you in here on every morning. And again, you can join the It Just Means More tier, folks. If you hate our ranking, you can join the It Just Means More tier. You can get exclusive members-only content coming this week. We're doing some watch-alongs for games. We got some Q&As. We got all sorts of stuff coming up soon. So, yes, be sure to hit that join button, hit the $sign button. I think that sends it to you on a mobile. You can leave a super chat, all that stuff. But no, it does not pay millions. Why do you think we're, talking about our friends at Sanders Logistics, Bet Online, and trying to get you to join the It Just Means More membership tier? Because, hey, this is what we do. We're an independent thing. We're not backed by some big corporation. So, yes. There you go. What are we going to say, Max?
Hold on. Let me get a word in here. To tie in the rankings, okay, our number 2 team, okay, who could have been number 1, Tennessee, right now, they are scheduled to go to play a game at LSU, all right? The projected spread on that game is 7.5. 7.5 for our number 2 team at our number 15 team on the road. Okay. And then just whatever, if you want to play with the hypothetical, say the public in Vegas just are all over Tennessee. Okay. They're -10. You are a 10 to single digit point favorite. If you're a number 2 team in our power rankings and you're playing at our number 15 team, that is all that encapsulates the whole rankings right here. It doesn't matter where you're ranked. You go on the road in this league, you're going to be probably less than a 3-possession favorite, and you're going to have a chance to lose that game. That's just how it's going to be.
I'm glad people in here arguing with us. It means people care. It means they're paying attention. And you know what? Sometimes you might bring up something we didn't think about. So I'm good with it. Just as long as people aren't nasty. At which point,
come on.
If you want to see nasty, check my Twitter timeline out after defending Alabama football yesterday.
Yeah, don't go to Trish. Well, first mistake you made there was tweeting.
That was just going to say that's a war zone.
Mistake number 1 is tweeting anything other than facts. But
guerrilla warfare out there.
Even facts sometimes are not that. But all right, we're done here. So
what do we got? What do we got coming up here, Blake, for basketball?
I don't know. We got stuff probably all week, every day maybe. We got all. Again, I promise you, members, you're out there, you're watching. We've got members-only content probably coming within the next couple days. So we're going to do something fun for you guys. We'll let you know about it. Just check your YouTube, and you'll get all the notifications you need and all that. So, yes, we got a lot of basketball stuff coming for free members, paid members. We got all sorts of stuff coming. So.
Tell you what, also, I don't know what you guys' plans are, but if the Razorbacks have a big Tuesday night, could see you.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. That's a wrap here. Thank you for watching. God bless you all. For Max Barr, Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. You've been watching Southeastern 16 presented by Bet Online.